This is the Stories from the Subconscious podcast, a podcast that dares to challenge belief systems through the simple practice of storytelling. Because the truth is, we only know what we know. And when we hear trustworthy and inspiring stories, it allows the inner mind to naturally begin to ask the question, could that be possible for me too? I'm your host, Mae Deevy. Join me as we adopt expansive belief systems and celebrate the stories of those who dare to seek beyond what they once knew possible. Together, let's explore stories from the subconscious. Hello and welcome back. This is a special mini episode of the Stories from the Subconscious podcast. I'm your host, Mae Deevy, and I've got a little golden nugget for your subconscious mind today. Very fun. I'm very excited to share that with you. But before we get into that, I have two quick things. One, it's always good to start off with gratitude. And I want to say thank you to Meredith and to Logan and to Gabby and to Jennifer and Idalia. Thank you so much for being such beautiful, supportive, consistent members of the Patreon. Patreon.com/belief system. I see you. I feel you. I love your presence in our weekly Oracle card discussions. I see you in our book club showing up and asking questions. And I just want to say thank you so much, because community does not happen with one person. It happens through the participation of us all. So thank you so much for being there. I love you. Two is, if you've listened to this podcast before, then you probably have heard me mention our Patreon, which of course I just did. So redundant. However, what I am trying to say is that out on the Patreon, we do have a book club. It's called the Consciousness Seekers Book Club, and I love it so much. And for December 2023 and December 2022, January 2023, the selection for book club is Rumi's Little Book of Life, The Garden of the Soul, the Heart, and the Spirit. And I'm super excited to read this collection of poems by the 13th century Persian Turkish poet Rumi. It's a collection of about 196 poems that has been described as, I quote, a guidebook for one's inner journey, which sounds pretty good. His poems have been described as passionate, spiritual, and intense. And he writes about topics like human desire and the nature of love. And it just felt like, what a beautiful way to close out a year and open up a new one, perhaps refreshing the mind, refreshing the heart, and reminding us of the power of love and the beauty of nature, and perhaps the beauty of love and the power of nature. So without going into too much detail, I will close out this episode by reading one of Rumi's most beautiful poems, in my opinion, and that will be a beautiful way to perhaps spark a curiosity inside of you to join the Consciousness Seekers Book Club, which is out on Patreon. Okay, so this is a mini episode here today that I'm here to give you a nugget. And what is the intention behind this subconscious nugget is to offer the mind an area of focus. This allows you, it's almost like a treasure hunt in your thoughts and your patterns and whatever it is that you notice in your day-to-day life. You're going on a treasure hunt to find this nugget. And the nugget is this. What happens when I say this to you? Don't think of a pink elephant. What happens? Did you automatically think of a pink elephant? Because that is typically what happens. And I'll tell you why that is. That's because the word don't basically is not heard by the subconscious mind. It's almost like the subconscious mind instead heard this, blink, think of a pink elephant. All it heard was think of a pink elephant. And so it did. But then you're like, shoot, wait, I wasn't supposed to do that. Disregard. And oh my God, I have tried to start and stop this episode like so many times. And my cats are like violently love attacking each other in the background. And we're just going to go with it because you know what? Nothing and no one is perfect. So here we are. Any hoodle, don't. So The word don't, the subconscious mind doesn't hear, and instead hears the rest of the sentence. So if we say something like, don't smoke here, the recipient hears, smoke here, which is the opposite of what you are intending to say. So the invitation is to notice the commands that you give to yourself and perhaps to others, but let's just start with yourself for now, that begin with don't. And then the challenge being, how can we reword that to actually work with the subconscious mind? Knowing now that don't is kind of obsolete and unheard, how can we rephrase that sentence so that you actually are achieving the outcome that you wish? So instead of saying to someone, don't smoke here, give them the command, please smoke outside. Or to say something like, don't call me that, you can offer up a phrase like, I prefer to be called this. And what I really like about this example is, of course, it's very, very simple, but it also is this beautiful blossoming invitation for you to be impeccable with your word, which is one of the 4 agreements. Because there is something that's much more gentle and soft and also strong all at the same time that is when someone says, I prefer to be called this versus don't call me that. Does that make sense? So that is my golden subconscious hacking nugget for you for this episode, is to notice how you don't yourself and see how you can rephrase that sentence or that phrase in a different way, perhaps in a more encouraging way, and see what kind of results that you get. What do you think about this subconscious hack? I love little nuggets like this because over time, you really get to be so impeccable with your word. And there's nothing more empowering than being impeccable with your word. And that is how you walk through this life hypnotic. All right, let's close out this episode with a poem by Rumi. And I love this poem so much. It's called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from above. Ooh, that one gives me a little waterworks and a big old chill up the spine. I love that poem. It is, to me, says so much. And it even touches upon what we now call parts therapy, in really honoring the light and the dark or the shadow, honoring all parts of ourselves in each and every moment, welcoming them in and giving them a seat at the table. So powerful. Okay, well, I need to make sure that my cats aren't going to wrestle each other into the ground. And also, I promise to keep this short and sweet, and I seek to be impeccable with my word. So that's all from me. I can't wait for you to check out the next episode of Stories from the Subconscious podcast. We have some incredible guests coming up, like Angela Gargano, and I can't even say. But stay tuned. If you don't follow us already, then give us a follow. I love you so much. Till next time, you know what to do. This has been another fabulous episode of the Stories from the Subconscious podcast. For more podcast goodies, hypnosis offerings, even a consciousness expanding book club, and so much more, visit patreon.com/belief system. And finally, I know you know, the thing about stories is that the more that they are shared, the more powerful they become. So please share this episode or leave a review of what resonated with you most, because you never know who you may help in the process. Until next time, storytellers, stay curious.